are the New York Knicks. I'm back in the New York groove. Well, it's the Knicks. New York. We are the New York Knicks. New York. For this new season we're about to enter, the Knicks is taking no shorts, just like winter. New York, New York.
New York be about the Knicks, huh?
But the best thing about New York City is
K-N-I-C-K-S. Everybody say go New York, go New York, go!
Hey everybody, it is the New York Knicks podcast, part of the Almighty Baller Podcast Network and Dash Radio. I am your disgusted host, Jay, and with me is Mark.
Jay, do you want to do the eulogy?
Yeah, I think it's time.
We should eulogize tanking because it's over.
So last episode, I said the Knicks were going to win 3 out of the next 4. I was almost right. They won 2 out of 4. The tank is over. The Knicks are going to finish in 9th. Once again, they can't even lose correctly.
You know what? Here's the thing. The only thing I'm not so since last show, the Knicks have they lost to the Heat. They actually were close for a little while. And they lost to the Heat. They lost to the Timberwolves in a very close game, and then today they beat the Wizards. Those are the last 3 games, right? Since this last show.
They beat the Bulls since last show too.
Oh, was the Bulls during this? Oh, I thought Bulls was last episode.
No, they trounced the Bulls.
Okay. For some reason I thought we bitched about that last show. We
bitched about knowing that was going to happen.
Tanking is over. Oh yeah, you said last show you were like the Knicks are going on a winning streak. It feels like every show. It feels like it's been like forever since, because this misery of this team seems like it's going on forever. The season should have been over. Like they should just end the season 2 months ago. Like it's just been like perpetual of nothingness for the last 2 months.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's. So you want to eulogize us, Jay? You don't have a speech prepared? It's
no,
like I'm springing this on you.
I don't even know how to do a eulogy.
Okay, so we're all gathered here today to talk about. I don't really know. I've never given a eulogy.
We're all here. Give thanks, weren't you?
Yeah, we're all to give thanks for what we had. We had hope. We had some good things. We had some good times. When Porzingis got injured, that was not good times. We got injured. We said, we're going all in. We're going to lose a lot of games. We're going to get that number 1 seed. And then we went on a streak, and we lost 17 of 18 games, something along those lines, and we moved up not an inch.
We had that 24 hours where we pulled ahead of the Bulls.
By a half a game, and then we beat them, or we won a game, and that was over. Once we beat the Bulls, it was over anyway. Today's win against the Wizards, whatever. Knicks can win as many games as they want the rest of the season. They're not changing position. I mean, the thing is, the Bulls were at 24 wins. The chance of the Bulls topping the Knicks were pretty slim to begin with. The Knicks are at 27 now, and the Lakers are at 32. The Knicks are never catching the Lakers. We are stuck at ninth position, and
that makes it real exciting because.
Hey, the year that Steph Curry went number 7, the Knicks drafted Jordan Hill, DeMar DeRozan went number 9. A lot of good players can go late in the draft. This year, Donovan Mitchell went like 11th or 12th or 13th, I think. We're going to catch lightning in a bottle. We're going to pick up some guy who here's what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever we're going to take is going to be someone that we're going to be like, oh, man, I guess we'll just take so-and-so because he's the only good guy left. And that guy will turn out to be really good. And we never would have taken that guy if we were drafting higher. This is the basketball gods' way of I don't know what they're doing.
So the Knicks are going to get Trae Young.
Okay, so are you going to start complaining about Trae Young? Because I think if the Knicks got Trae Young, I would not be so unhappy. I know you're going to be unhappy. We talked about him last show, and the idea behind him is he could be a dynamite scorer in the NBA, but he also could be a disaster on defense. Is that your basic fear, Jay?
Yeah, he's pretty much Isaiah Thomas.
Isaiah Thomas almost won MVP with the Boston Celtics.
And now he can barely
post injury. He had a major injury, and so he's also probably Isaiah Thomas. The injury he has, you're really expecting more from him from next season than this season.
Isaiah Thomas gave up on him before Boston. There's a reason for that. Because he doesn't play defense.
I'm not arguing that he plays defense. I'm just arguing Isaiah Thomas is not a bad player. He's not that. He was he had a hell of a season for the Celtics last year, and you really can't be like the Phoenix Suns gave up on him. The Phoenix Suns gave up on everyone. They just don't know what they're doing as an organization. And the Sacramento Kings gave up on him. The Sacramento Kings are the only franchise run worse than us.
Well, he's not starting over Lonzo Ball, who's shooting 14% for the last month and a half.
Well, the Lakers have to be insane to start him over Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball is their future. You cannot give up on your rookie point guard this early in the season, even if he's shooting 11%.
Whoa. You're telling me that teams should not start a vet over a rookie point guard?
Hey, Ntilikina started today.
He did. First start this season, right? Second start this season?
And you can't complain about Hornacek this week. He played 37 minutes against the Timberwolves. Looked great.
Yeah, it took him 72 games to figure it out, but okay.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, I'm not going to complain too much on the. I'm not going to complain too much on Hornacek's playing him Ntilikina this week. He did not get as many minutes today. Did not look as good. The problem really is you play so much of playing a guy you base on their offense and not their defense. That's the problem in the NBA all today. Like Enes Kanter will look like trash on defense, but his offense gets him on the court. If it's the reverse, like your defense is stellar, but your offense is bad, you have a much harder time getting on the court. Why is that, Jay? Like, do you think that's weird? Like there's two halves of the court. If you're really good at one half of the court and bad at the other half of the court, it has to be offense versus defense.
It's just more noticeable. I mean, if you're draining threes, people are going to notice that. If some guy on another team doesn't score, like you actually have to be paying attention. It's basically like the passive fan versus the active fan.
I mean, but it's not even the fans; it's the coaches. Even like the coaches. I mean, the players, like fans, will bitch about players, but like even coaches will favor guys that are good on offense and bad on defense versus guys that are good on defense, bad on offense.
I think everybody gets caught up with it. You know.
I guess at the end of the day, you need points.
You need points, but you need to not let up 120 points a game too.
I mean, I can't think of that many guys. Like, how many guys can you think of who are like amazing defenders, horrible on offense, and got major minutes on like a good team?
There's like three: Rodman, Ben Wallace,
and Bruce Bowen, Spurs.
Yeah, and you can argue Tyson Chandler doesn't really score a lot.
Yeah, he gets like 10 points a game. But yeah, you're right.
That's about it. That's pretty much the list.
I mean, there are other guys also out there we're not naming, but it's really like it's just hard. There's such a.
There's way more horrible defenders that can score. Yes, I agree.
I mean, like you look at like the way Kanter plays defense at times, you're just shocked that like what Hornacek. I don't mean he has to be benched, but Hornacek should be like, oh, he doesn't deserve like his starting position is not set in stone. I'll try Kyle Quinn starting for a little bit, see how it goes. I can pull him more for his defense. I mean, I guess that's what Oklahoma did with him eventually. But you would think, whatever. I mean, the whole point is that his defense looks really good, but it doesn't earn him minutes the way his offense needs to.
Right.
Like I guess I understand also he's playing point guard or even a shooting guard. You need offense from that position. It's hard. It's hard to be an NBA team. It's hard to be like a team like the Knicks and have like just sacrifice positions on offense.
Yeah, but yeah.
No, I mean, I'm arguing both sides of it. I mean, his defense has been very good and very encouraging, and his offense has been like against Timberwolves, he looked pretty good on offense, and he has moments where he looks pretty good on offense, but it's not consistent. Like today, he looked very mediocre on offense, and it's
what you expect from a 19-year-old rookie.
Yeah, if you look at and I haven't watched him, so I only follow the box score on this guy. But De'Aaron Fox, who was picked a bunch of picks ahead of him, he's a guy. If the Knicks had a chance to select him, guaranteed to take him over Ntilikina. There's no question, right?
Right. We wanted
De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox seemed like a great pick. He has been like his offense. Like some nights he's good, some nights he's pretty goddamn mediocre. It's just young point. It takes a while. What position do you think is the hardest position to adapt to in the NBA?
Point guard.
Yeah. It probably takes a good outside of the very rare examples, it takes at least 3 years, maybe, to really develop the
Yeah,
offense.
it's the equivalent of being a quarterback in football. It's the hardest position to learn.
Yeah, so I don't. Yeah, I basically don't like give him whatever.
Yeah.
Do you? So I'll give you. So you want some bright stuff before you go back to Trae Young?
Yeah, no, I have a couple
Well,
bright
I'll give you.
spots too. Actually, it's
I'll
not
give you
all
a-
going to be doom and gloom today.
I'll give you a bright spot.
Okay.
Dr. Carlin Kolker.
Mhm.
You know who he is? I think it's a he.
No.
He's your goddamn hero, Jay.
Is he?
You know why?
Is he rehabbing Porzingis?
Oh yes. Were you gonna do that story also?
No, I'm not familiar with the story. Fill me in.
Oh, you guessed that? Okay. He.
I was thinking like you're bringing up a random doctor. How could that be relevant to the Knicks? Yeah, it was an easy guess.
So he claims to be like they're just talking. There was an article in the New York Post about how amazing this doctor is. He says the Knicks won't allow it, but Porzingis will be ready for game one of the season next year. His rehab is well above, faster than scheduled. It's been happening a lot faster than expected, and he said that Porzingis is going to be better than before. He's going to rebuild him to be better. He said he's going to get stronger while he's on rehab, and he's going to come back playing better than he ever played before. Basically, he's going to rebuild him like he's RoboCop.
I hope so.
He said, what did he say? He said, any concern Porzingis' ACL rehab will hinder strengthening other areas, the myth, Coker said. He said, with no games, practice, or travel, Porzingis has much more time to impact his game by bulking up his body. I would say though, is that a good thing for him to get big biceps?
I don't think it's necessary. I know everyone says he's got to bulk up, he's got to get strong, and I always say look at Durant and look at Garnett. You don't need that.
I always wonder when they try to bulk up though, if it's going to lead to more injuries later. I always kind of wonder that.
It could go either way.
I
don't think it's set in stone whether you should bulk up or just have like a natural, whatever your natural body type is. I mean, like Dwight Howard's huge, and he wasn't getting injured a lot until his back started messing up on him. So
I think, but Howard is more natural muscle. I mean, obviously he's not born with those muscles, but it grew on him a lot easier. I don't know. It's just at this point that he doesn't have big bulging muscles. I don't know if it's going to be a benefit for him to try to develop big bulging muscles. Yoga might be a better thing, stretching, flexibility.
Well, we don't know if he's talking about looking like the Hulk or just bulking up a little bit. There's a big difference. There's a big range in what he's.
You're right. Anyhow, but he says basically, it's a deep philosophy of mine. It's an opportunity to polish things up and improve, put on muscle. I can't tell you how many seasons with Shaquille we had to keep going back to the drawing board. He worked with Shaquille. He kept Shaquille in the league. I don't know if I give you.
I mean, he was injured a lot, but that could have been much worse considering how huge that guy is.
Anyway, basically this guy Kolker is basically talking up. They're talking him up, and he's talking up that that Porzingis will be we should be all excited. I mean, obviously not excited for the injury, but he will have no it will not be a detriment to his game. He's going to be really good when he comes back.
Okay, I hope so.
So that is a bright spot. That
I will remain cautiously optimistic.
His rehab is going faster than expected, and he's working with a bionic doctor. So, okay.
I like it.
Do you have a bright spot? We can go back to the draft in a second, but do you have a bright spot?
Well, this is a nice story. I heard Jack actually got 2 offers from playoff teams and turned them down because he didn't want to turn his back on the Knicks.
Are you kidding me?
No.
What teams did they say?
No. I mean, it's a nice sentiment, but why would you not want to play in the playoffs? Because he's getting 0 minutes a game now. So,
I could play playoff basketball. I could sit my ass. I like sitting on my ass. I mean, it must have been. It has to be offers that were not that great. For not even financial, for getting the money. It had to be he didn't see him getting any minutes in the other team anyway.
Right, or maybe it was just an 8th seed where it was should I play 4 games or just not relocate my entire family?
Or do you think there's like a sneaky suspicion that like he thinks he'll get a job in coaching with the Knicks after?
No, I
Like
don't think so.
people are talking about, people have said like he's a guy that will be a really good NBA coach later on. So maybe like there's some kind of deal in place where he thinks basically he can sign for the Knicks for another year, not play very much, and then like go into the coaching staff after.
What happened to like normal job progression where it become assistant coaches? Like,
Well, I'm not saying he becomes head coach right away. He could become an assistant coach right away. I mean, that would be a much more normal thing to do.
that I'm fine with.
But maybe he sees a situation where he could become a coach. Like his career is almost over anyway. So let me just stay here and like mentor or whatever, Moutier, Ntilikina, whatever we have here, and like there's got to be more of a reason than him just having loyalty to the Knicks. It's a weird loyalty to say I don't want to go to the playoffs unless like the offers weren't that good or like he thinks like he has a long-term future with the Knicks and like coaching.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or
I do
maybe
have to say,
maybe he's like, you know what? I've never been there for a tank. I want to witness one. And that's not true. He probably has been there for a tank.
I sat down and I watched the whole Minnesota game.
Yeah.
I gotta say, Trey Burke's defense is way better than I thought it was.
I think the knock on it, like, yeah, I think he's been a lot better also. I think the knock on it is just he's a little small. That like point guards can like post up on it. He just has some disadvantages because of his size. But he's not that. He's in position most of the time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy with his defense. His shot is hit or miss, but the guy can penetrate. I'm happy with Burke. Like, I hope he continues to stay on the Knicks.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
Troy Williams looked pretty good.
Troy Williams, I don't know why he doesn't get more. Like I would just try him out for 30 minutes. Like he's got a lot of energy. I don't think he's a starter in the future, but like develop him more, I guess. I don't know.
I'm just going over like what I saw from the newer guys.
Yeah.
Cornette wasn't that impressed with. He seemed like he wasn't doing anything bad, but he wasn't doing anything where I'm like, we need to play that guy a lot.
Well, he had actually there was a good play today. The Moutier hit him with an outlet pass, and it was only thing I was impressed. Moutier had a nice pass to him, and I was impressed with his ability just to catch the ball and put it right into the basket.
Mm-hmm.
He was running full speed. It was like a 30-foot throw. It was a pretty athletic move to be able to catch the ball and put it right into the basket. I don't know. I feel like he's a guy that if he can shoot threes, he's got a role in the team.
Yeah, I mean, he seems like he could be like a deep bench guy. If he's like our 9th or 10th man, that's
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I feel like he's. If you want to go to a smaller lineup, I mean, I know he's 7 foot, but like a lineup that can shoot threes or
spread the floor. Yeah.
Spread the floor. I said before, I feel like he could be a. It's not. I don't think it's like a high ceiling, like it's a big thing from the reach. It's Steve Novak. He could be another Steve Novak if his 3-point shooting develops.
Because like maybe even slightly better defense.
Yeah, he could be slightly better defense. He was in Westchester. He was shooting 6 threes a game and hitting 40%. It's the same distance, so you would think basically in the NBA, even if he shot like 35% and could shoot like five threes off the bench, could be a quick production off the bench, be worth a shot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what else are we doing? Like, why
Yeah,
not?
exactly.
Is he any worse than having Cantor out there?
Not really. I mean, Cantor's a much better rebounder, but Cornette's better passer. He's a slightly better defender, and he spreads the floor more.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. Yeah, exactly. Like
Cantor's got better post moves.
There's no reason to bring in another center next year unless the guy plays defense.
Yeah.
But it would be nice to get a guy that plays defense at center, obviously. What else do we want to comment on? What other guys?
I mean,
what do you think of Moutier?
Moutier can't cover anybody.
He didn't play much against Minnesota, actually, right?
No, because he was incapable of being within 5 feet of Teague. So they're like, okay, you're just not playing today.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, so they made a point. I'm trying to find there's an article, a thing about how Ntilikina, like time and time again, when they show his defensive stats against like top players in the NBA, top point guards in the NBA, he has looked great. Did you see that? This was on Twitter this week. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I didn't see that.
there was a thing about how it was right after the Minnesota game. They were talking about how like you put him on Teague, put him on a bunch of guys. He's their offensive production, like major players, like even like Chris Paul, his production has dropped when Ntilikina's been guarding him. Not like he's shutting down. He's not lockdown defender yet, but like he's having an impact on defense that should get him on the court much more. It was the basic point of all of it.
I haven't seen that in actual games.
You haven't seen what actual games?
Moutier doing anything worthwhile?
Oh, not Moutier, Ntilikina.
Yeah.
Oh no, no, God no. Moutier's been garbage on defense.
Okay.
He's been like he's the easy pass of the league. He's like that new easy pass where you don't have to slow down at all. You just drive this tracks your license plate. You go through 50 miles per hour. That's his defense. He is the new improved easy pass. No. Ntilikina. It was the whole thing about Ntilikina, how like his defense has been great against a bunch of guys in the league, and we should be like his defense is. I guess the point is his defense is up to NBA starter. He's an NBA starter as far as his defense at this point. Obviously, the offense has a ways to go, but we should be giving him more starter minutes just for his defense. Was the whole point. Which is one way to look at it. I don't know if his defense also goes down a little bit if he gets 35 minutes a game. I don't know how his defense doesn't, by more minutes, maybe doesn't hold up quite as well. Who knows? But I still think I'm still excited about his defense. I need to give us more bright spots, Jay.
Before we do that, did we have a call today?
Oh yeah, we have a call today. You want to do it?
Yeah. I'm just trying to figure out who we have. Okay, I got it.
Okay, cool.
We have a guy with one of the best names ever.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go to the call, and then we'll try and keep the positivity going. No guarantees, because this is already bordering on a new record for us. But we'll give it a try. So, yeah, here's our call. Okay, so we are joined by Pat. How you doing, Pat?
I'm doing good. How about yourself, man?
Pretty good. Why don't you tell me how you became a Knicks fan?
Yeah, well, I was born in the late 80s in New York City, so kind of grew up during the golden age of Knicks basketball. And with the name like Pat, grow up watching Pat View and doing his thing.
That's
right.
Just
grows on you. Just grows on you. Very simple. It's kind of the most simple story, I guess.
So you got spoiled at an early age.
Oh, yeah, man. I got, deep memories of the 4-point play, the Allen Houston teardrop in Miami. I got a lot of good memories in the 90s, that's for sure.
So we're trying to do something a little different today and stay a little bit positive. So last couple of games, there's been a couple wins. Tell me something positive that you've taken out of these wins.
Well, the Minnesota game was exactly what I want. Like a good competitive game and then just not enough to win. So that was exactly kind of what I wanted out of the Knicks. And it looked like they were going to do a great job of dropping the ball against the Wizards, even though they happened to pull it out. But, I guess the good news is that I'm starting to see, the big games are coming out of guys like Burke, and Ntilikina had a good one a couple days ago. Hardaway had a pretty awesome game recently. So as long as it's guys like that who are having the good games, then I'm feeling really good about it,
Yeah, you can't really complain if Burke is the one going off. That's you want the young guys.
Yeah, like if Courtney Lee is the one going out there dropping 20 points, or it's even Cantor, I'm just not interested.
Yeah. So we got a few young guys that are looking all right. What are your thoughts on guys like Troy Williams?
I actually like him a lot. I don't like him a lot as he should be a guy that we should be looking to play 30 minutes. But he seems like the type of guy on a roster that would be a championship team's 7th or 8th hustler off the bench, And, right now, if we can find anybody who has any value, it's good timing for that. And, maybe just like Burke, maybe we found something off the scrap heap, and Lord knows the Knicks need to find some players that way.
Yeah, I mean, we had basically 11 roster spots to fill, so if we can fill some of the bench roles, that's totally fine with me. Not everybody has to be a home run starter.
Yeah, I mean, I love his energy, man. It seems like every game he's playing, he's hitting us with a highlight dunk that's based off of like just him hustling up and down the court. I like players like that. I do. I think those players tend to bring a lot of I guess good mojo to the floor. You know, because like one highlight dunk can change the entire environment for everything. So,
Exactly. Yeah. So, is there anybody else you're excited about? Cornette, Hicks, Moutier.
I mean, not for Hicks. I know he posted a good game a couple of weeks ago, but I mean, you could just see he's not really all there for an NBA player, at least right now. You know, I feel like he gets abused. And the same goes for Cornette. He has a solid skill set, and anybody who's 7 foot who can shoot the way he can, I want to take more of a look at, but I'm not really overly excited. And Moutier, I mean, you know, he played well against the Wizards today, and maybe he just kind of got Hornacek pushed the right button by benching him the game beforehand. You know, I don't know. I think he'll have another opportunity next year to do some things with the Knicks because I don't think they'll have a whole lot of other options in that regard. But, really right now I look at the team. I see Williams. I see Burke. I see Ntilikina. I see Hardaway. I see Williams. And those are kind of like the 5, 25 or youngers that I'm looking at like, oh, these guys could actually be something that, you know, moving forward, I can see the Knicks getting some use out of.
Not too bad of a core, and he had hopefully healthy Porzingis to that. It's something. And whatever this year's draft pick is, do you have your eye on anybody in the draft?
You know, I really don't. Just because, you know, with the Knicks picking so late, it's kind of a crapshoot of like who's going to be available at that point, especially this early in the process. It's just best available player. I mean, there isn't a position on the floor that if the Knicks can get better at, they shouldn't try to.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah,
so
they got
I mean,
a lot
like
of holes to fill.
You know, it's even Porzingis. It's like if the guy comes down the pike being a 4, well, one of them's going to have to play the 5, and it's just that simple. You know, and I would like to see Trey Burke get more time at point. I think he plays a really strong 2-man game. And that's one thing I also like out of Moutier too, is that at least with the two of them, I see a lot of those guys getting in the paint and getting in the paint with the ball in their hands, which it feels like forever that we've seen a Knicks point guard do that, you know?
Yeah.
Like just be able to kind of get into the paint, and whether it is that they're completing the play themselves or they're finding their teammates, it's just, you know, so the team's got to get better at perimeter shooting. So it'd be really nice if whoever is available can be a factor in that.
Agreed. There's been a lot of talk about whether Hornacek should stick around or not. It seems like he's still trying to play for wins, and maybe at the detriment of playing some of the young guys. So what are your takes on Hornacek?
Well, I don't really know if he's playing for wins because, he's putting in guys like Hicks and Cornette. Lord knows Courtney Lee is not playing very much these days. I don't know if he's playing for wins, but, you know, I don't really have too deep of an opinion about Hornacek, but I do have an opinion about firing him, and it's don't, because what's the point at this juncture? You know, I kind of look at it through the same lens that I looked at it months ago, is that coming into the season, it was a long shot to make the playoffs. And then if you told me, oh, by the way, Tim Hardaway was going to miss a quarter of the season and then Porzingis is going to tear his ACL once Hardaway returns, and, you know, like, then I'd be like, oh, yeah, well, clearly the Knicks are going to suck, you know? Like, so I kind of look at it like, you know, like what else could Hornacek do with this roster, and who else are we going to get at this point? You know, if we have another head coach at the start of next year, what is that, like 4 head coaches in 5 seasons?
Yeah, I do got to admit the constant constant turnover of the coaches and the roster and the front office. It does take its toll after a while.
Yeah, I mean, like I kind of look at it like a lot in the sense of like how Golden State did it, is that the team wasn't great and they had Mark Jackson, but they were improving, so they left Mark Jackson in the spot. And then once the team was good and became an attractive place to get a head coach, even though they made the playoffs for the first time in years, they were like, nope, we're done with you, Mark Jackson. And then they got their guy once their team was an attractive place to be.
Mm-hmm.
So unless there's a ringer who's ready to come in next season, I don't see the point in wasting any off-season time in firing a head coach and then trying to find a new one. Like just concentrate on the draft, see what you could do in the off-season. Don't spend big money that extends longer than Noah's contract, and see if you could find some, I mean, knock on wood, it looks like you may have found, like Burke and Williams and a few other guys that you kind of found kind of just kicking around out there that you may have found that actually might be valuable pieces moving forward. So just stay concentrated on the players this offseason. Don't worry about the coach, because it's just, what's the point?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, wait until a good team's in place, because the team's going in with low expectations next season too. How nice is it to see the Knicks actually take advantage of the G League for maybe the first time ever?
Yeah, I mean, like, I could be honest when I say, like, I've never really had any sort of, like, comprehension of it, because it always felt like the Knicks were trying to sign the next loaded veteran.
Yeah.
So, like, I never really had a concept of the G League in my life, because it just, we need somebody else. Like, the Knicks, old Knicks would have just been like, let's give Dwayne Wade, $5 million to finish the rest of the season with us.
Exactly.
But, like,
what end of his career X star should we get now?
Yeah, and it's been nice. It's like it's given a reason to watch. I mean, I live in Los Angeles, so it's given me a reason to care, because like I'm interested to see, like what the court, especially. I mean, the one thing I do like about Hornacek is I like the 2-point guard system that he has going on, and I like seeing things like Ntilikina and Burke on the floor together, because I don't know. I don't know if I'm the only one thinking about it. I don't know what you think, but I just get the strange feeling Frank Ntilikina is not really an NBA point guard.
I'm starting to think
Like,
he might be more of a 2 as well, or maybe a guy that is kind of in between positions. So yeah, I'm totally fine with the 2-point guard lineup.
He definitely has ability at the point guard position, but I just, and he's super young, so that can all change. But like, he doesn't exactly seem like he ever runs an offense with a whole lot of understanding. Like, he can push the ball really well. Like, when he's pushing the ball up the court, I feel like he's doing well. But once it's in a half court offense, I'm just not seeing him run a 2-man game well with anybody. I'm not seeing him find an open man as much as I would like. But when you put him on the court with somebody else and the ball starts moving, he starts to find an open man in the movement of the basketball. So, like, I'm a little nervous Ntilikina's falling into maybe becoming the next Shumpert for the Knicks, but
Or Landry
staying
Fields.
cautiously optimistic. Yeah, even Landry Fields too.
Well, let's just keep remembering that he's 19, and this could just be growing pains. It's not like they have much more money to go find anybody else anyway. So. Yeah, exactly. We're just about out of time, but I do want to hear, how is it being a Knicks fan in LA?
It's not that bad. I've lived here for about 5 years now. It's not that bad because the Lakers haven't been that good, because Lakers fans do run very obnoxious. It's like being back in New York with Yankee fans in that regard, and Giants fans that will let you know that they are the best. So there really isn't anybody that can really like tell you anything different out here. Clippers fans are very come and go. So basketball is appreciated out here, but it feels like it's more like it's more one of those cases like, oh, I'm a fan, but I'm a fan of the player, not the team, which always drives me crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that mentality about any sport.
Yeah.
But can't complain because tickets to each time I've been to pretty much every time the Knicks have came out. I do travel a lot for work, so I've missed a few games when they come to the Staples Center. But tickets run pretty cheap, and it has, I think, mostly to do with the Knicks not being so great and the Lakers not being so great since I've been here. So, but yeah, the New York community out here is big. So, like if people, you kind of have a little bit of a head nod to each other when you're at the games of people who are just like, oh yeah, Knicks fans, nice,
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so that looks like that's our time. Do you have anything you want to plug? A Twitter, website, or anything?
Yeah, I got a pretty simple Twitter. It's at DJ Fat Pat. That's at DJ PHATPAT. And that's about it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
All right. Take care, man.
Yeah, have a good one.
You too. All right. Another good call.
Yep.
Thank you for joining us, Pat.
While I was off the show, I found the article I was talking about. Mark Berman wrote an article from New York Post where he said, so Ntilikina's defensive rating, the Knicks have given up 105 points per 100 possessions when Ntilikina's on the floor and 110 points when he's not on the floor. So he benefits the Knicks by an extra 5 points less on defense or more. Wow. He basically is 5 points better when he's on the court. And according to Mark Berman, when matched up in certain games against the likes of John Wall, Jeff Teague, D'Angelo Russell, and Dennis Smith Jr., he has held each to 0 points, and he contained Chris Paul to just 2 points.
I like that.
Yeah, so that was the article I was reading about where he was just talking about his defense, and his defense basically should earn him a lot of playing time these days. It was right after the Minnesota game where where he played pretty well also. So it's an easy article. It's easy to call for his offense when his defense when his offense is playing pretty adequate. What do you need to see out of him to get him major minutes? Like what kind of stats do you want to see from him next season? On offense, obviously.
I mean, I think it was kind of like what you talked about before. If he's going to be a lockdown defender, he's out there.
Yeah, I mean, but you still don't want nothing from him, and I think the Knicks aren't going to play him if they get nothing from him.
I mean,
I feel like
I would like to see 12 and 5. 5 being assists.
Yeah. I was going to say like 10 and 5, or even 8 and 6, like just something like You need some points. You need probably double digits points. You need him to hit 10. Like 5. I'd say 10 and 5, or even 12 and 5, I guess. And close to 30 minutes a game would be ideal for next season if his shooting improves a little bit. It would be bad.
Yeah, and that's not bad.
It's a slow build, but I think it goes somewhere because his defense is so good.
Yeah.
A couple comments I wanted to make from the games. The Minnesota game. Did you like Timmy? Timmy's been playing pretty. He didn't have a great game today, but he had an outstanding game against Minnesota.
Well, I also said last week that Timmy's going to start catching fire near the end of the season to ruin the tank. It didn't happen against Minnesota, but it came damn well close.
I mean, I'm upset, but I just don't even know if the other team's going to catch us anyway.
You know what? I'm reversing positions. Now that I know we're not catching anybody, screw it. Just start winning.
Yeah. Now there's no chance at all of changing positions. Let's just start winning games. Like it's a miserable system anyway. I want to root for victories. Whatever. We're not moving up. We're
not moving down. Let's go 500 the rest of the way. Why not?
The other comment I want to make, the Bulls game. How can the Bulls openly tank with their lineup? They sat everyone on the team.
Yeah.
And they sat Marketing. They sat Robin Lopez. They sat who else they sat? They sat a couple other really good players.
I think they sat Jerian Grant.
That could just be because they want to win.
I mean, I think the best guy they started was like Cameron Payne. Like it was ridiculous.
I think they said they sat their 4 best scorers.
Yeah.
I mean it's
Portis. I think they sat.
Portis, yeah, that's the other one they sat. It's absurd. Like, the Bulls should be fined for this. Those guys weren't injured, or they don't have any serious injury. They should be fined for this. This is ridiculous. We needed the loss more than they did. You can't put out a trash product against us and be like, that's not fair. It's not fair to just be like, shoot at your own basket, basically.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
I mean, of course the Knicks blew up the Bulls. The Bulls just said, hey, we're starting a D-League lineup. Like, just openly just like saying we're throwing this game.
I mean, the Knicks have a half D-League lineup without trying, but that's their team. That's their team, though.
The Knicks are trying. They're trying to get victories. Like, they'll argue, we think Moutier will actually get us victories. And, like, logic would argue against you, but the Knicks just don't agree with logic, so. Those are the comments. Wait, what else I want to say? That was pretty much it. They beat the Wizards today. The Wizards are supposed to be a good team, so I'm not even that upset they beat the Wizards. Like
I said, at this point, just start winning again. Who cares?
Yeah, who cares? And of course, that means they're going to start losing.
So we got 2 iTunes reviews a couple weeks ago. Did we read those?
We did not. If you want to pull them up, and I was going to talk about draft prospects, but pull them up.
Sure.
You have.
Yeah, I have them up. Dr. Dog Breath writes, great show. The show is the only benefit of being a Knicks fan.
Awesome.
And Johnito writes, fun and real, incredibly funny and real. These Knicks fans are not delusional, as some Knicks fans are. Keep it up, guys. Huge fan from Puerto Rico.
Nice.
So thank you guys so much for the reviews. Every review helps. We're trying to move up in this iTunes standing, so please leave a 5-star review.
Sorry, go.
I was just going to do all the plugging now.
Why?
Because if I do it at the end of the show, people could just turn it off.
Oh, okay. Well, so right now everyone hit 15 seconds forward so you can skip this. Go, Jay.
You're the worst. Email is nyknickspodcast@gmail.com. Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook is all nyknickspodcast. And patreon.com/nyknickspodcast, where you can donate as low as $1 a month to the show. We got a few new Patreons this week, so that was very cool.
Awesome.
And we've said it before, it's usually a site where you put content up there, and that's what you get for your money. But we make all our content for free. And so this is more just if you want to help us with the show expenses, kick back a little bit to the show. We're not going to put any of our stuff behind a paywall. We just putting that option out there for anybody who wants to help support the show.
So we have a new social media thing we're doing also. Can I tell him about it, Jay, or do you want to tell him?
No, you can tell him.
Okay, because Jay's just learning about this. So I know there are a lot of people using different sites like Facebook, which like sells all your data, Instagram and Twitter and all these other things. And I feel like we are starting a new social media campaign. We want to take questions from the fans. It's called In-Person Book. So what it means is, if you have a question for the show, you can show up at Jay's apartment, knock on his door, and give him the question in person. Jay, want to give your address?
I'm not sure I like this new plan. Maybe we should have talked about this before the.
So In-Person Book. So Jay, you can find him at his home, or just accost him on the street. You see him walking down the street, just jump on him, throw him to the ground, and ask your question. Or at his work, show up at his office and just like shout a question at him. He would love it. It's In-Person Book, and this is the way that we're going to communicate, get closer with fans. And we promise you, if you jump on Jay in the middle of Madison Avenue, we will not sell your data.
We have a website, thenewyorknickspodcast.com, and we have Knicks shirts there. And if you buy a Knicks shirt through the website, the package probably has my return address on it. Figure it out that way.
If anyone wanted to hunt down Jay and kill him, Jay will just give you their address with exchange for $12.
for $18, you can murder me.
So that's it. So instead of actually buying the T-shirt to get the T-shirt, now for $18, you could just say, Jay, just send me your address for $18. It's the same thing.
Yeah, it's like, you know what? Don't even send the shirt. I just want your address.
I just want to show up at your place. That's all.
And every shirt now comes with a Knicks podcast pen.
Because Jay has not figured out how to guerrilla market. Guerrilla marketing does not involve giving pens to people who are already buying shirts. That is the lamest guerrilla marketing. I think you, sir, guerrilla marketing company is fired.
Emails. Mitch writes, hey guys.
Wait. before we get to the emails, I want to do our new segment where we're going to talk about draft prospects. I want to talk about at least one draft prospect a show.
This episode is full of surprises. Sure, yeah.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I just saw someone made a comment on Twitter when I was looking for the Ntilikina thing that they said, do you think Trae Young is that much different than just having Trey Burke already?
If Trey Burke plays defense.
He plays some defense. I mean, the idea being that like similar size, it might be even similar production in the NBA.
Yeah, let's keep getting exact identical players that play the same position. That seems like a good strategy.
I mean, the argument in favor of Trey Burke. I mean, sorry, Trey Burke. The argument in favor of Trae Young. Yeah, Trae Young is that he could be a guy that could take over games. I know people are comparing him to Steph Curry, which is really unfair to do anything. You remember, like, everyone used to be Baby Jordan?
Yeah, they actually, Harold Miner, they nicknamed Baby Jordan.
Yeah.
And then he was out of the league in like 2 years.
Yeah. So like, everyone had to be Jordan. Then now everyone has to be Steph Curry if they're like small, or they, or if they're European, they got to be Dirk Nowitzki. Everyone has to just come up with like a quick comparison, basically.
Hot takes.
There hasn't been any baby LeBrons though.
No, I'm sure that'll start. I mean, the new Jordans comparisons started like near the end of Jordan's career, so I'm sure the LeBron ones will start very soon.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't had a baby Jordan in a while. We haven't had anyone say that at least. Like the comparisons, I mean, I'm not saying anyone's going to come in the league and be as good as Jordan, but the comparisons were just like Harold Miner was baby Jordan.
I think it has to be a current player because nobody during Jordan's was like, "Hey, it's baby Oscar Robertson."
Do we get any like baby Lance Thomases? Just like you're like, come on, guys, like just pretend I'm going to be good. Well, anyway, so the point with Trae Young is that he's a guy offensively. He's a very good shooter. He's a very good scorer. They said he's okay getting to the rim as far as like his ability to finish, but he could be a guy like you pair him next to Ntilikina. You have a guy such a weapon, like a huge offensive weapon that he could be like a game changer on offense. And the argument also is that he's on such a bad team on defensively that he had to do so much on offense that maybe his defense is not as bad as you think. Like if he was on a team where like he has other decent players, he might be a little he might try, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, so we discussed Trae Young last show. I'm not going to do anything on Doncic or anyone that's going to go with the first 3 picks because we're probably not getting them. I think we have a 1% chance of getting to the first 3 picks right now, or 2%. Let's say, is anyone you want to cover in particular, or I'll pick one?
No, go for it. Okay,
so I'm going to pick, last time we did Mikal Bridges, so how about Miles Bridges? They are not related, but let's talk about him. They sound like they could be related, right?
Yeah. Well, that's like, who are those 2 Europeans that, one of them's on Phoenix, and, all right, go ahead.
Okay. Is it, by the way, I'm a moron. They're the last name Bridges, but that will make you think they're related. But the fact that their first name both begin with an M makes me think they're even more so they'd be related because I'm a complete moron, even though like first names have nothing to do with being related. It just makes you like something like you're like, oh, well, they have to be. I mean, his Mikal, he's Miles. Like, they've got to be brothers.
Right.
So the positive in this guy, so he's basically, I guess he's a small forward. The positive in this guy, best offensive attribute might be his 2-foot explosion. He's a big-time jumper. He's a bit of a floor player, but he's 6'7", 230. He's got the size. He can like jump out of the gym kind of guy. He screens well, cuts well. He's a good offensive rebounder, a decent spot-up shooter, particularly from 3. His passing is adequate. Context concerns, they say he plays a lot of 4 this year, but he's really more of a 3 for NBA terms.
Okay.
Defense, they say defensive rebounding is pretty good. He moves his feet well on the perimeter, has a low foul rate. He has 6'9" wingspan, which isn't amazing, but he contests on the perimeter. He's a solid defender. They say basically low projection. He's a backup wing who can guard multiple positions, but brings very little offensive value outside of his garbage buckets of off tip-ins, a rare backdoor cut, and open court dunks. So I guess his low is pretty much what we have with Troy Williams right now.
Mm-hmm.
His high, capable of 3rd or 4th offensive option who is reliable spot-up shooter from 3, can attack closeouts, pass a little bit, guard most perimeter positions in a switch-heavy system. He basically, what my understanding is, he is a probably not quite as good a version as Mikal Bridges. They're both very similar also. They're both like small forward-esque, like 3-and-D guys. Probably Miles is the worst of the two.
Okay. I mean, for a 9th pick,
Yeah, I mean, like, I would say if for getting best player available, I ideally would like an actual small forward who can play defense. I think that'd be, and who could shoot threes. I feel like that'd be a very, if you're not going to get a superstar, that'd be an ideal thing to add.
Exactly.
I don't know if there's any, I don't think there are any centers also that are like, well, there's no centers basically they're going to fall where the Knicks are that are like highly touted on for their defensive abilities. Like, because that's the other thing. If you're going to take what are the two things you're going to take? I think the two things are either a small forward. I mean, for getting best player available, and obviously, I guess that's the major argument. But like, it's either you want a small forward or a center that can play defense.
Yeah. I would say those are two things we need the most right now.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. Anyway, go to questions.
Okay. Oh, the two people with the same last name I was thinking of was Bojan and Bogdan Bogdanovic.
Yeah, that one always confused me because I was like, I don't understand if there was any. I thought he was on the. There's like this is a guy from the Nets, but how did Sacramento just draft him?
Right, exactly. And I was 1 year off when I said Buddy Hield was going to be really good. Have you seen what he's been doing the last couple games?
No, tell me.
5 out of his last 6 games, he scored over 20. Shooting over 50%, shooting over 50% on threes, averaging about 4 threes a game. He's been going pretty nuts.
Okay. So, I mean, in theory, he's on Sacramento, right?
Yeah.
In theory, Sacramento has a bunch of good pieces.
Yeah.
But it hasn't. You got Buddy Hield, you got De'Aaron Fox, you got Bogdanovic, a couple good players, and you got that's the defensive guy from
Cauley Stein.
Yeah, Cauley Stein. I mean, you're not like winning the title with this team right now, but you should be more competitive than they are.
Yeah, it's a decent foundation, and they got a lot of salary cap money clearing up soon when all their old guys, you got Vince Carter and Zach Randolph, and all those guys are going to be out of there soon. So,
I'm looking at a Tankathon that's a mock draft.
Mm-hmm.
You want to know who's falling? By the way, so you want to guess the Knicks are at 9th. Who falls to them?
Trae Young.
No. They have Trae Young at 5 right now with Orlando.
Oh wow.
They have Mikal Bridges falling to the Knicks at number 9. Did we miss out by 2 spaces on a guy who it'd be great if the Knicks got him, but I feel like he's going to go before him. Bamba Mohammed. We could talk about him if you want. He's supposed to be, I think, a very good defensive center.
Okay.
Yeah, he'd be a nice guy to get. We're probably, let me just see the quick, not to go through his whole thing, but I just want to see what it is like.
I mean, you
upside
can do that in
downside.
a future episode.
Yeah. I just want to take a quick look on his. He's 6'11", and they give his low outcome, his high outcome. They say low outcome, backup rim protector who can only play in some matchups with some mid-range shooting. High outcome, plus defender at the rim in high pick and roll with the ability to catch lobs in space and to shoot corner threes. That'd be a nice guy to pair next to Porzingis.
Yeah.
Anyways, the draft. You want to hear who the top 10 picks are?
Sure.
Or you don't care. They got Ayton going first, Doncic going second to Dallas. To the Memphis. Then Jaren Jackson, Michael Porter, Trae Young, Marvin Bagley, Bamba, Wendell Carter, and then Mikal, and then Miles Bridges.
Interesting.
We should get more into this. I don't know. In theory, we should get more into this stuff because
there's nothing else to get into.
I was watching last night. I was watching some of the. It was Florida State versus Michigan in the NCAA Elite Eight, and you're watching them being like, not a single guy on the court looked like he should be playing in the NBA. And I know I was talking about last show about would the Knicks beat any of these teams would they be able to win the NCAA tournament? Based on watching these 2 games, these 2 teams play it out in the Elite Eight, the Knicks should crush. I mean, the guys are good enough in the NBA. Like even with a bad team like the Knicks, they should be able to crush those guys.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
The guys just couldn't make a shot. It was just getting ridiculous how bad the shooting was. And I don't think the shooting was overall horrible percentage-wise, but it just looked like guys couldn't really score. I feel like the Knicks, like Michael Beasley would dominate. I take it back. The Knicks should be able to win the NCAA title. Okay,
All right.
other questions.
Mitch writes, hey guys, quick question on Frank. Is his development stunted by the presence of Cantor? He has so one-dimensional inside on the pick and roll, causing the D to pack the paint and give Frank a mid-range shot.
Doesn't help.
Yeah, I mean, it also doesn't help knowing that Cantor is not going to pass out of the pick and roll.
But nor do you really think he should. He's good enough offensively that you get him the ball down low. I mean, obviously, you could have him hit some shooters, and I understand he should pass a little more. But for the most part, he's just a pretty good percentage at the rim. It's hard to argue that, when he gets the ball, if he feels like he has position, try to score.
Yeah, but
unless he's double or triple teamed.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Even if he's double and triple teamed, he's not passing the ball back out.
A lot of times he still scores, also though. I don't know. Hey, whatever. I'm kind of done with Cantor anyway, but I feel like offensively, you get him if he feels like he has position. It's hard to argue he should. So do you think he stunts? Do you think he stunts Ntilikina's growth?
Hmm.
You think the question was, do you think he stunts Ntilikina's growth at all? Just because the paint is so not open when he's there.
I don't think it has a huge effect.
I mean, the overall Knicks spacing probably it's not just Cantor's fault. The overall spacing when he's on the court is not always great.
Yeah.
If Ntilikina was surrounded by some 3-point shooters, that would probably help a lot. And
yeah.
I mean, he has a little bit. If Ntilikina was on the Spurs, he'd be a better player. Go on.
William writes, it looks like Jay called it. Tim Hardaway playing well toward the end of the season and effing up the tank. What a dumpster fire this team is. Shaking my head.
Should we? I want to take a quick look at Timmy Hardaway's stats, actually. You can start reading the next question.
Paul writes, hey guys, enjoy your podcast. Here's a question for your show. If a top 3 team in the draft wanted to trade their pick for KP, would you do it? What would it take to make the deal? Don't get me wrong, I enjoy watching KP, and he's been a godsend to the Knicks, but he's long and lanky can sometimes land very awkwardly. I'm concerned about his long-term durability. And the hypothetical scenario would be at a time when the trade for a draft pick is possible, like next year before the deadline. KP's still rehabbing, but tank teams are pretty clearly defined.
I don't know. I don't love doing that. Because you could it's. At least you know Porzingis. You feel like. I mean, the injury stuff really worries me. But if healthy, he should be a very good player. And you could always just whiff, every draft, one of the guys in the top 5 at least, or top 3 is not that good.
What if, Dallas right now said they'll trade you their pick for Porzingis? So you'd get we'd still keep our pick, and we'd get Doncic.
I mean, it's attractive. Wait, it's Dallas. Are they number 1 right now?
Well, according to your thing you just read, they'd get the number 2 pick, and Aiton's going first.
I think it was Memphis, actually, not Dallas.
Memphis. But
whatever. Let's say it's Memphis, just for the sake of argument.
Yeah.
But first of all, if they do that, the draft lottery will happen, and we'll pick 4. There's no way we'll stay in the top 3 because we'll just get screwed in the draft lottery. But let's assume the draft lottery is set, and you're actually getting the top 2 pick. Let's say it's the number 1 pick for the sake of the draft. So you get Ayton or Doncic.
Mm-hmm.
Is that worthwhile for Porzingis? And bearing in mind the number 1 pick in the draft this year no longer knows how to shoot.
Right. I mean, I think you gotta ask yourself if you think Porzingis is going to be injury prone his whole career, or if this is just a fluke thing.
Do you think also reversing it on, let's say you're Memphis, or whatever team, let's just whoever team, forgetting the actual roster. Are you insane to trade the number 1 pick for Porzingis?
No, I mean, you're taking a guy who may or may not translate to the NBA for a guy that can play in the NBA.
Well, sorry. Are you insane to trade for a guy like Porzingis when he's coming off an injury? I understand if he was not coming off an injury, I don't think it's an insane trade at all. But
If you're saying it's insane to trade for a guy coming off an injury, that would mean it would be a no-brainer for the Knicks to trade.
I think on either side, it's a pretty impossible trade to make. I think if you're the team that has the pick, well, we have all this hope coming here, and we're going to sell to our fans. We're going to guys. I mean, I guess forget even selling to your fans. Like, it's a gigantic risk to take a guy coming off a major injury. That we've never experienced a guy coming off this injury who's 7'3" and it had him come back to the NBA and been fine. On the other hand, if you're the Knicks, holy shit, you're trading away your franchise, like a potential franchise cornerstone, for a guy that, who knows? You don't know if the guy can like do anything in the NBA.
It all comes down to how you feel about his injury.
Of course, yeah. So like, if you're so let's say you're let's say you're Memphis. Would you do the trade, Jay? The Knicks are only willing to do the trade because Porzingis is injured. Would you do it?
Probably, yeah.
Okay,
I think on both sides of the coin.
Both sides, you would do this.
I think so, yeah.
Because you think you're basically you have, as a Knicks fan, forgetting what the other team. As a Knicks fan, you're just so concerned about Porzingis' injury, or you think Doncic will be better? Because Doncic's your guy. I feel like Doncic's your guy more so than Ayton, right?
It is, but I think it's more so. I feel like that Porzingis is just going to keep getting injured.
Yeah, no. I assume you're not thinking that like this guy's going to be better than Porzingis. It's not like we're drafting LeBron. You're not convinced that Doncic's going to be better than Porzingis. It's more the injury concern.
Right. Well, if I'm of the opinion that
just
forget going to miss 20 games a season, maybe I want a guy who might not be as good but is playing 80 games a season.
You're just forgetting, like, if you're of the opinion, you are of the opinion, you are concerned enough that you'd pull the trigger if you had the job.
I think I would. I'm pretty concerned. I know you just read it. The guy says he's going to be healthier than ever and stronger. I'm not sure if I'm buying that.
The NBA is also thinking about passing a rule allowing you to play with half robot. So, do you think? Remember that guy who also committed murder? The guy that ran without legs in the Olympics.
Yeah.
Could you imagine an NBA player like just plays without legs?
What was his name? Pretorius or something like that?
Yeah. I don't want to get into him, but if a guy was disabled and he had like the bounce legs, would you let him in the NBA?
Yeah, wouldn't that be kind of? What if he had had pogo legs?
I don't know. It's kind of unfair if you like he's born without legs and he gets legs. Like, can he just play?
He's like pulling a Vince Carter every other play, just jumping over everybody.
Dude, like they're like, I mean, like, dude, like it's just unfair for like he can jump 30 feet in the air, but dude, like it's just unfair to like treat the disabled this way. He can jump 30 feet. This is not fair. He's got pogo sticks for legs.
Yeah, you can draft Ayton. I'm gonna draft pogo legs McGee.
Yeah, so I would say if it came to it for either team, I would not do the trade. I think if I'm Memphis, just say Memphis again, I'm not doing the trade because I've wasted an entire season. I cannot bet on a guy who's come back from an injury. If I'm the Knicks, he's been too good for us that I am too concerned about like him going there and having a long and very healthy career from here.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I am comfortable if he plays 65 games a year going the rest of his career that we'd get a good enough production to make it worth not making the trade.
Okay.
I mean, it's not like if you said like Porzingis for Kevin Durant, obviously I'll do that trade. But I'm a guy I've not been in the league yet. I'm not willing to pull the trigger, but it's close. By the way, I just looked up Timmy Hardaway. Do you know what he's shooting in March?
It's got to be close to 50%.
He's 46% from field goal percentage, but his true shooting percentage is almost 58%.
Of course,
that's pretty good. He's hitting almost 90% from free throw line, almost 33% from three. Of course, he is dominating in March.
He's Mr. March.
I mean, overall, like I don't know. Overall, his shooting is not that bad for that. I mean, like he's shooting 42% from the field, which he's had some pretty bad runs. His true shooting percentage is 53%, which is I think better than most years Melo was here.
Mm-hmm.
If you give a lot of like if true shooting percentage is a stat you like, he's been pretty. It's not that bad. Okay. More questions?
That's it for emails.
Okay. Facebook we don't have many. We don't have many. So Judge Jean writes, according to a report, Horny could be replaced by one of these. Mark Jackson, David Blatt, Jerry Stackhouse, Doc Rivers, Dave Fitzdale. What do you guys think? Let's start at the top, Jay. Mark Jackson.
Nope.
We talked to him to death.
Mark, I don't think Draymond Green is good. Jackson, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot to. I mean, maybe other coaches would have screwed that up also, but it is.
Steve Kerr did.
Yeah, Steve Kerr did not. David Blatt.
Mm.
Is David Blatt? The question really is: are these guys an improvement over to Hornacek, where you're willing to make the move to get him?
See, that's what I was talking about with Pat on the phone call. If we're going into the season with low expectations, what's the point of replacing the coach?
The point is to get a system here where everyone's going to actually build up a system that you like. If you don't think Hornacek's the coach of the future, then you're going to spend a whole season building a culture that's going to be changed immediately from the new coach. You have to get your coach in place. If you don't think he's the guy, there has to be some kind of the whole thing about the culture, the whole thing, the Celtics bring in guys, they immediately adapt to their system because they know the stars in the team adapt to it, and everyone kind of buys in. The Spurs have been doing it for 20 plus years.
The question is, are any of these guys so good that they're the coach? It's totally worth another coach replacement to get one of these guys.
But giving up what? What is Hornacek bringing here? If you don't think he's going to be your coach when you're good, then get rid of him now. Why stick with a coach that you don't think is going to be the good coach to have when you're good?
Why change the coach every year?
Well, the point of it is to get the coach here you like going forward. So a coach that'll be here for the next 5-10 years, a guy that you'll be happy to be here when the team gets good.
Right.
Instead being
is this one of those guys? I don't believe in changing it just for changing it. So
I agree.
That's one of these guys. That guy.
Is one of these guys going to be a market improvement over Hornacek? I think Hornacek has a lot of problems. I don't think he has much of he doesn't seem to get buy-in from the players completely. He lost a lot of locker room last year, but he had a lot of issues with Phil. Phil stepping in, it's Phil micromanaging. This year, I don't get that they have a system where really. I don't know if there's really much of a system he's put in there. I don't see it on the court. Only system I see is pass the guys to the center when you're walking up the lane, so you don't the point. Just that ends the play for the point guard.
I'm not saying I love what he's doing. I'm just none of those guys you listed blow me away.
I don't know. I feel like anyone gets better. I mean, if you were the Celtics and you were what's the Celtics coach
now, or are you talking about Doc Rivers?
No, right now.
Oh,
what's his name again? The guy from college. They have a very good coach, one of the best in the NBA, and I'm a moron.
Brad Stevens. When the Celtics hired him, and they hired him over Doc Rivers, you could have said, "Well, this doesn't even make any sense." Doc Rivers, you just lost basically a coach that won an NBA title, who's a very good coach, and you're bringing this guy that has no track record in the NBA. How good can he really be? What's the point of doing this? I mean, you never know how. It's hard to know how good the guy's going to be as coach. Out of those guys, I mean, I got to say Doc Rivers is getting this terrible Clippers team. They're 5 games above 500. They probably won't make the playoffs, but they would if they were in the East.
I mean, I would say if Doc Rivers would take the job, I would take him over Hornacek in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I mean, to get this team to 39-34, that's pretty impressive.
I mean, the guys in this list that I like, and Doc Rivers has a long track record. He's a guy people are going to believe in at this point. He's had such a long track record with the Celtics and the Clippers.
Yeah.
David Blatt, he's supposed to be. He's highly touted. He didn't get much of a chance in Cleveland.
He made it to the finals in his 1 year in the NBA, though.
But that's not fair. I mean, I could have made it to the finals with LeBron James. It's not you can't give him credit for here's a cakewalk to the finals.
Right.
But he's supposed to be a very good coach. The way he's highly touted, I'd probably give him a chance over Hornacek. Jerry Stackhouse, I don't know. Is he assistant coach somewhere? I'm not just making someone coach. Unless he's an assistant somewhere.
Yeah, he's.
Where is
I think he won the G League championship.
Did he? Okay, I'll hire him.
I think so.
Yeah, I'll hire him. Okay, sounds good to me.
He won the division with the in the D League.
I mean, that's something. I mean, it's not much. I mean, it's the D League. I don't know if I'd give him the job. Like, so Doc Rivers and Blatt are the guys that I'd go with over Hornacek on this list. What do you think?
He also
Anyone?
punched Hornacek in the face a couple times.
Okay, so there you go. He definitely gets the job now. So I go with Jerry Stackhouse also. You have not felt the need to punch Hornacek in the face this season. Come on. I just think if you don't think Hornacek is the coach you want here in 5 years, then let's try to find the guy you want here in 5 years.
Yeah.
Do you think at any point Hornacek's going to be like, you're going to be like, wow, he's a good coach?
No.
I think he's a bottom 10 coach in the league. I don't think we get that. I'm just not very impressed with him. And I guess early in the year I was impressed with the fact that guys were playing better. But he's like the fact that only Porzingis is injured right now, and the team has been such a disaster. And 2 years in a row where the team has just fallen apart completely. I feel like that looks pretty poorly for him.
Yeah.
If you told me like the Knicks are like ravaged with injuries, that's one thing. You lost Porzingis. You shouldn't become an embarrassment to the end of the league by losing one player, even with this roster.
Yeah, not true.
Joe writes, "We're year one into a real rebuild. We're all long-time frustrated fans, but I think we're doing the right thing. Your thoughts?" The other thing, actually, just go back to before we get to Joe's question. Hornacek was not. Hornacek is Phil's guy, and I kind of think I think Perry needs his own guy. I don't know what you're doing, Jay.
I think Perry needs to not be on the team.
Why? Because you don't like Timmy Hardaway signing?
I don't like the Timmy Hardaway signing. I don't like the Baker signing. I don't. Yeah, I haven't seen one thing he did where I'm like, oh, cool.
Well, Timmy Hardaway's like, I think, was Timmy Hardaway's Mills? I think Timmy Hardaway was Mills, right?
Aren't they the same?
Well, they're actually different people. So
I don't know who's doing what.
They sit next to each other.
I
don't
know
think
who's doing what. They're both guilty in my book.
Perry actually wasn't even he wasn't signed yet. I don't think he had the job yet when Mills did the Timmy Hardaway thing. Or maybe I'm wrong. I may remember. Well, okay, well, fine. They're the exact same person. They have to share the same brain. I do think, though, it is not usual for like a new GM comes, usually brings in his own coach.
Yeah.
And so you brought a coach in here, like Phil brought a coach with totally different intentions when he hired Hornacek. Yeah, whatever. Okay. What do you think of do you agree we're year one into the rebuild?
I mean, yeah, we've been rebuilding for 3 years, but we're in year one. Yes.
We're perpetually in year one. It's Groundhog
because we haven't made any. The whole idea of a rebuild is that you make progress. We have not done that. So yes, we're in year one.
I think we're in year one also because I feel like now we moved on from Phil, and then you will be year 1 in 2 years. We move on from Perry.
Yeah.
Your thoughts though? If this is year one, I don't know. What are your thoughts?
If it's year one, I would be happy if we could go one off season without making a catastrophic, crippling signing.
Well, you're in luck, Jay. We have no cap space.
Don't count your eggs before they hatch. Don't count your chickens before they hatch.
Yeah.
The Knicks can do it. If any team can do it, it'll be the Knicks.
The Knicks somehow trade Ntilikina for some chickens.
I mean, they could use their bird rights for somebody to like max them out. Somebody already on the roster, max out Beasley or something.
Oh yeah, I think we could say like if Cantor gets a 5-year deal, we can end the show.
I mean, anything's possible with this team.
I mean, there are a bunch of things that the Knicks could do that would make me want to end the show. I would say Cantor getting a 5-year deal. Let's just end the show. Trading Porzingis and not getting the #1 pick would make me end the show.
Yeah.
What else? Jay? What else would make you end the show this summer? Michael Beasley getting a 5-year deal.
Basically, anybody currently on the roster getting a 5-year deal.
Ntilikina being traded for a draft pick.
Yeah.
James writes, what would be the reason not to bring Hornacek back? We kind of talked about that.
Yeah.
Tina writes, am single am single lady here, seeking for true love and serious relationship. Jay?
Why is that happening?
For some reason, Tina is all over our page now with the exact same thing. I'm single lady here, seeking love. I'm assuming this is a Russian bot. But Gilliam had a good response. Phil Jackson is available. So go for it, Tina. Gilliam writes, Hornacek is this. By the way, I don't really know how to pronounce Gilliam's name, and I'm getting it wrong all the time, but he has wrote some of the best questions. I love his questions. So keep one day I'll get your name right. But Gilliam writes, Hornacek has decided against Frank guarding players like Redick, who go through a lot of screens, or players like Ben Simmons, who are much bigger than him. He has also talked a few times about Frank needing to put on some weight to get stronger. Is he maybe protecting him from the more physical situations for now, limiting him to only players he can handle physically without going through 2 screens per play? Should he play like this if he were should he say it like this if he was the case, or is it better not to talk so you don't encourage hard screens against him? So should Hornacek just saying I'm not covering these guys, or should Hornacek say I don't want to put him in these physical situations? What do you think? And adding also, should Hornacek be holding him back from more physical play?
No, I don't agree. I mean, he's putting Moutier in the same situation.
Oh, well, Moutier we already know is garbage. So I think the thing is, the one thing about Frank's defense is I wonder how it'll be when he has like these situations where he has to guard a Redick or play a guy like Ben Simmons more. Like when he has more physical play, will
Yeah, let's find out now when the games don't matter.
Yeah. No, I agree. What do you think about him getting stronger? That idea.
We talked about this before. I don't think getting stronger is necessarily an important part of being a good NBA player. I mean, you can't be too weak where you get bullied, but I don't think like everybody needs to bulk up.
Especially at guard. I don't know if you really need to like go like hit the weights and guard at a guard.
Right.
I want agility. I want a shooting. Do you think Hornacek should be saying I'm just trying to like hold them off from physical situations, or just do you like how he's talking about it basically?
I mean, I don't know. I don't understand why we don't just put Frank out there in every single situation, have him get a look at everything. Why withhold anything?
It's almost crazy because you're like, I'm worried about him getting through the screens and dealing with like the hard screens or like a bigger defender. It'll be tough on him, so let's put Moutier, who's complete garbage, on him again in the defense.
Right,
instead.
like if he doesn't fight through the screens and the other guy scores, who cares? We can't move up or down right now. Who cares?
At least you know more about him. At least maybe he gets better at doing that.
Yeah, maybe it would be something like, hey, that didn't work. Here's something to work on in the off season instead of like waiting for next season. And do it.
Yeah, if Redick tortures him for a night, maybe he'll try to figure out how to not get torched by Redick the next night.
Right. This team's crazy.
Yes, that's also like, again, is Hornacek a good coach? You're such problem with the fact that he doesn't just like give Frank a chance. I mean, he gives him a chance, but like just like, why can't he at this point just say Frank play 35 minutes and just see what happens?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I don't necessarily. I have a lot of problems with Hornacek's system. I also think just that whole thing where, and maybe it just drives me too crazy, but every time the point guard dribbles the ball up and passes to the center and basically has the center become the point guard for the play, just drives me insane. It just stalls the offense every time. I don't get it. The fact that Hornacek can't see that's just an idiotic play to do every time down the court just drives me insane.
Right.
Gilliam writes, can you say 5 current NBA players who are as close as possible to the ideal KP partner? For me, the most important skills are rebounding and ability to defend the perimeter, while protecting the rim, and 3-point shot can be not so good as that's where KP thrives. So, what skills are perfect pairing for? Like, first of all, for you, does it have to be a center or a power forward? Like, what do you think?
To pair with KP?
Yeah.
No, I don't. I mean, we have so many holes in this roster. I think if really you just go best player available, like, I guess we're a little bit better with the guard position now that it looks like Burke is decent, but you could still use a third guard because I don't think that's Moutier.
No. The point really is not for draft. Like, is it just KP, just an ideal partner for KP, whether it be a center power, just like a guy basically for the backcourt or front court. Who's the ideal guy to like? Basically, what's the ideal? Would you prefer a power forward next to him, or would you prefer a center? Like, where do you want him?
I think maybe a center. Keep KP at the 4. Have him spread the floor. Have like a in his prime Tyson Chandler type of guy.
Yeah, I mean, this is what Gilliam's also saying, that he thinks that the skills that you need next to him are rebounding, which Cantor provides, obviously, and ability to defend the perimeter. But he thinks protecting the rim is not as important, and being able to spread the floor as far as shooting threes is not as important.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree with that assessment?
Yeah. We need defense.
Well, I feel like protecting the what first of all, would it be amazing to see KP next to like Gobert?
Oh my!
No one would ever get to the basket.
That would be amazing.
That'd be phenomenal. What's more important from the guy next to him? Perimeter defense or ability to protect the rim?
Rim protection.
I would agree. I feel like you can't have especially with the Knicks are always going to be a little bit weaker in the guard position anyway, defensive wise. I'd rather have 2 rim protectors next to each other. But I do agree. I also want a guy who can do a little more guard the perimeter also.
Mm-hmm.
A guy that's a little more versatile than a guy that obviously a lot more versatile than Cantor. But I agree the 3-point shot is not that important. Who would you pair? So I'll put Gobert next to him. Who would you put next to him? Oh, I guess the Tyson Chandler in his prime. Anyone else could jump in? I mean, even a DeAndre Jordan in his prime would make sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, I would rather a Chandler or a Gobert, but yeah.
Yeah. Anyone else jump out at you?
Are you talking about current players or anybody?
He said current players. The question is, can you say 5 current NBA players?
5 current. Ooh.
You know, it would be who's the Celtics? Who's the guy from the I can't remember anything. I'm sorry. The guy from the Hawks that went to the Celtics.
Oh, Horford.
Horford would be awesome next.
Horford would be pretty amazing.
Yeah, he could pass. He would be great. Fine, you move KP. I guess Horford's really more of a power forward. Move KP to the center, but that would be a wonderful companion.
Draymond Green.
Yeah, that'd be an amazing companion also.
Okay. Steven Adams.
Actually, who's my last 2 guys on the list?
Mm.
I did the whole list. I evaluated everyone. My last 2 guys are Enes Kanter and Kyle Quinn. Gilliam writes, I do think, joking aside, I think Kyle Quinn makes more sense than Kanter. I just don't think either guy makes any sense for the future. Gilliam writes, how much credibility do you give to the rumors about the possible future Knicks coaches when most of the names are just there because they have connections with the Knicks or someone in the front office? I can't see a name who makes me think he's the man. Also, I find it hard to see how Blatt could be a good choice. He was very defensive in Cleveland, answering questions, always bringing up his success in the EuroLeague. The scrutiny in New York is so much bigger. While Corny is capable to continue work with positivity despite bad breaks, I can't imagine Blatt adapting well to all the noise. The noise can kill a lot of coaches here.
Yeah, it's a tough job. This team is so dysfunctional.
The 30, it's the worst thing is that when things are going bad, 30 guys are like, I have to write a story about why it's going so bad. Tell me why it's such a disaster. All 30 of you, all 30 of us every night. We talked a lot about this already.
Yeah.
I do think he has a point that a lot of names are being thrown around, not because they're real rumors, just because like writers are like, this guy makes sense.
Yeah.
Why can't Stan Van Gundy why can't anyone convince him to come back?
Jeff Van Gundy?
With Jeff Van Gundy, yes. Why can't we convince?
He has job security, and
he's got a good gig. It's a good gig. It's a much better gig.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot less stressful, and you have job security. It's like the exact opposite of the Knicks job.
Yeah, if you're good at being like a color guy, like an announcer, like there you go. You got job security.
Yeah.
And you make a lot of money doing it. Gilliam writes, what do you make of this new lineup with Frank and Burke? Do you think Horny is going to keep it like this until the end of time?
I think so. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I'm a fan. What do you think happens? So let's say they draft like a McCall Bridges, or they draft like an actual small forward next year. What happens? Because you have Courtney Lee. I assume Courtney Lee is going to get traded then, but you still have Timmy. How does it work with the minutes? Because you think they're going to keep doing Frank at like shooting guard, and then like Timmy gets 30, 35 minutes. Where's that leave Frank? If you get a true small forward, who demands 30 minutes a night.
I mean, you could play Frank between the 1 and 2, and Timmy between the 2 and 3. So there's still minutes.
Okay, yeah. It just seems like you'd almost be like, well, if Bridges, just say Bridges is good enough to get 30 minutes at small forward, then Timmy gets 30, 35 minutes. Not a lot of minutes left unless Frank can actually be our point guard.
Good problems.
Yes.
Is that it for questions?
That's it for questions. Anything else you want to say, Jay?
No, I think that's a wrap. That was a good episode.
We are done.
So, thank you for listening, everybody. We will be back next Sunday.
We will be celebrating. Now that we want the Knicks to win, there is zero chance they will win another game the rest of the season.
Yep, they're going 0-8.
They got the rest of the week is. I'll read it real fast. I know you want to go. The rest of the week is. We got Charlotte, Philly, and Detroit before next show. Potentially 2-1.
Could go 3-0.
They're gonna go 0-3 though, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, cool.
All right,
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, love. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.